Welcome. Our class today is a Yin-Yang practice. We're going to start with some Yin postures. If you have any props that you can gather at home or anything you can use for a prop, like bolsters or blankets, pillows, anything you can find, to get creative. The first posture that I'm going to do is a reclining bound angle with a support. You can take this as gentle or as intense as you'd like. I'm going to use a block. If you want it to be a little bit more restorative rather than yin, maybe use a bolster for your back instead of the block that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the block under my heart, and then I'm going to come into a reclining position. So this is under the back of my heart, my shoulder blades, and then my feet are going to be in bound angle. And then we're going to be here for 3 minutes. So if you need a blanket or anything to get cozy, definitely gather, socks, layers, whatever you need. I'm going to use a blanket. I like to have a blanket for kind of being able to control the intensity of the hip opener. So I'll show you. I'm going to open up my blanket. It's in a half fold, so it's pretty big. And I'm going to fold the long side of it up into a smaller little bolster. You could also use a yoga belt instead of this, but I like the blanket because it serves two purposes. It's going to give me an extension so that I can pull or push my feet away. And it's also going to tuck in under my legs for an extra little bit of support. I'll show you. I'm going to set this up for 3 minutes though. So when you are ready, get into this. Got my little timer going. I'm going to sit back on my block, upper back. And then this is pulling up. Head on the floor for me. And then take your hands where they're comfortable. And just focus on your breath here. And if you're using any props under your back, breathing right into that prop. So I can feel when I take my inhale, breathing into that block. And then as I get comfortable here, I can actually now pull these feet up. That's why I like having that blanket. And then I could also situate the feet down a little farther if I need to push them away. So trying to let your knees relax open here. Let your arms relax. Filling that breath up and emptying it out. Filling your lungs up, filling your body up with your breath. You can have your eyelids open or closed. If you'd like to put an eye pillow on, if it won't fall off, mine would probably fall off. But you could have a towel over your eyes. You could take this into a more contemplative practice. Notice as you're here, if anything relaxes, things might just start to soften, tension might dissipate. And try not to fight that, just let that happen. It might shock you. You might not realize you are gripping anything. Start to take your feet to the floor. And you can lift up using your arms to help come up to a seated position. Maybe just sit for a moment. Let your back relax, especially if you were in the back bend version of that. All right, so the next pose I'm going to move into is a twist, belly twist, and it's a shoulder stretch. So I'm going to use a block or a blanket. Actually, I'm going to use this blanket under my head. I'm going to fold it back up how it was, back into like an 8-fold blanket. So that's up here for my face, and then I'm going to come onto my belly. You could always use a block under your cheek instead. And then come onto your belly. I'm going to take my right arm over towards the right. So I'll do my left side first so you can see my left hand is out to the side. And then I'm going to roll over and let my face rest on the blanket, not my shoulder. You can curl your knees into your chest here if you'd like. Or you can use your foot on the floor. I've got my foot in front of my left knee, like a number 4 shape. Try not to let your left hand fall down any lower than your shoulder. So it's up there in line with your shoulder, maybe even just about an inch or so higher. You could also take the foot behind, right foot. That's not too intense on your back. And then here, really breathe to your front chest, upper chest, from your belly, you're breathing. If at any point you start to feel tingling or numbness in your fingers, you need to come out of this and maybe just give it a break. All right, so maybe you only need a minute or a minute and a half in this. You don't need the full 3 minutes on each side. It could be 3 minutes total on both sides. And notice if you're gripping your shoulder, if you're gripping your upper back or your right hip. So if the right foot behind makes you squeeze your right glutes and push your knee back, maybe just take it back in front of your ankle or in front of your knee. You really don't want to be pulling that hip back too much. And then start to come out of this. Roll back over to your ribs, nice and slow. Catch the floor with your right hand. And then in between sides, just a moment in Sphinx pose with your elbows. You have your elbows on the blanket or on the floor. Pull your chest through. Stretch your toes back. Push down into your elbows. And we're going to go into the second side, into the shoulder stretch. So when you're ready, your right arm out to the side. And roll over onto your right side. Again, the blanket shouldn't be on the shoulder, so I'm going to move that out. Take it under my face. My right hand has this arm has a tendency to slide down once you situate, so make sure that right hand isn't slipping down. And then if you want, you can have your knees together. You can just rest here. If you want a little bit more intensity in that right shoulder stretch, the left knee can come up to the ceiling. We're not going to take both knees up for this one, though. This is 3 minutes. There's no need to be in a 3-minute hold where you're you're like stretching your ligaments too much. This is just to gently get into the ligaments, not just overstretch them. So the left knee can be up to the ceiling. Again, if you feel like you're trying to pull this hip back too much, if you're overusing the outer glutes, take the left foot in front of your right knee. And this will also give you a little bit of a hip opening. And then you can use your left hand to keep your left knee from collapsing down, right? So it's a gentle push. My left toes are pointing back at an angle in line with my right knee. And then again, really breathe from that belly in and up to your chest, top of your lungs, under your collarbones. All right, start to come out of this. Take your left leg back down to the floor. Roll over. Catch yourself with your left hand. So when you come out of this, it's slow and not a shock to your back. And then again, that Sphinx pose just for a moment. Put your elbows on the blanket or the floor and pull your chest through. And stretch your toes back. You can drop your chin. Turn your head side to side. All right, and then we're going to come up into seated for a forward fold, bound angle. You can use the blanket under your sit bones if you'd like. I'm actually going to take it back how it just was. I just had a big lump in it. It was feeling uneven. Didn't love that. And then I'm going to use a bolster or a block, actually. So you could use a bolster here if you wanted to put a bolster in right inside between your groin, between your thighs to your feet, and you could forward fold out onto the bolster. It's fine. I think that's a good idea. You can put a couple blocks out in front. Gosh, there's so many options on this. Sometimes too many options lead to, I don't know what I want to do. And then it can be a little, I don't know what I want. All right, so I like having my forehead supported. So I'm going to go with that. Set yourself up and get this going here. Our 3-minute timer and settle in. Let your knees relax down. And then breathing here from your belly right into your back. So you can feel with this rounding in your back. You can breathe up into the heart area behind your heart. And just like the first position that we were in, the first bound angle modification that we were in, the reclining, you may be able to adjust after a few moments there. Pull your toes or pull your heels back a little bit.
Maybe you need to press your feet out away from you a little bit more. Just let your knees relax, like you're not pressing your knees down to the floor. Okay. And if you need additional support, maybe instead of the blocks under your head, maybe you've got super open hips and your knees fall down. So you want to put blocks under your knees. You might also notice you can take it down a level once you're here for a few moments. If you had blocks under your head or some support, it may lower, maybe not. Soften your shoulders and your face. Make sure you're not gripping your jaw or your tongue. And then inhale, start to press down into the floor with your hands so you can roll up to seated, coming back to upright position. Take your knees together, feet on the floor. Just hug in here, lift your chest up to the ceiling. Okay. The next posture, you may need a bigger support for this. It's like a half hero posture, half bound angle. So I'm going to use a bolster and probably a block to prop up the bolster. So I'm going to put a block the end of my mat and then prop the bolster up on that block so that I can be on an incline here. And then I'm going to sit down on the floor in front of the bolster and I'll show you with my left leg in half hero first so you can just see from the side. And then my right foot I'm going to have on the floor. So a blanket might be nice to have under your hips just to make this a little bit like a gradual increase, a little bit more gradual rather than a severe increase. And then maybe even an extra blanket for your hero leg if it bothers you. All right, so I'm going to come to kneeling, and the left foot is in half hero. So I'm going to sit down inside of my left heel. My right foot's on the floor. Okay. And then this is where I'm going to start to recline back. So if this right here is too much, if your foot's cramping or if this is too intense, put a block under your hips and be a little bit more seated here. And you could even prop up that bolster a little higher. Okay, so maybe even 2 blocks under. You could also take a blanket roll, not too thick of one because it may be too big, and you could stick it behind your, this is probably going to be too big. So, a smaller blanket would be nice, but just roll that up behind your calf, okay? So you could stick that here, right? And that might help, okay? And you can't really see there, but see I've got that extra little padding there, so it pushes the knee, pushes the femur and the tibia away from each other so that they're not pinching the meniscus and it doesn't hurt your knee so much. That, in addition to sitting on a block, I feel nothing here. This is really nice. You may need 2 blocks, okay? Everybody's different. And then if you recline back, so I'm going to set this up and then I'm going to show you. I'll set the timer. So then when you recline back here, This is where you would be, and then this foot, you would squeeze the knee into the chest for like a few minutes, but just a moment, and then let that knee come out.
Start this up and settle in.
So I'm going to use this block under my head. Just didn't like the way it was falling back. All right, and then you can squeeze that right knee in if you'd like. Give it a little hug. And then that foot to the floor, and then go ahead and let that knee fall out to the side. And let your arms relax out to the side. And just about a minute left here, so if you need to make any adjustments just to make it better. I just had to abandon the half hero because my leg is just cramping massively, so I've turned my legs out to the side, or my left toes out to the side. It's not going to get better. It is what it is. So just adjusting as you need. And I still feel a nice little opening in this hip, a little extra internal rotation. All right, and start to lift up, push down on the floor. And then take your leg around front, straighten it out. Straighten both legs out. Just an easy little forward fold here. And then we'll sit up for the second side. So you'll go into that half hero on the right side. So the right foot's coming back. Right foot on the floor. My left leg is going to stay here for the moment. I'm just going to get myself set up. So left foot on the floor. And then you might need to lift up onto something higher under your sit bone. Maybe that blanket under the back of your left knee or behind your left leg. And I'm going to go ahead and start this and recline back. So I'm just going to stay here for a moment before I squeeze that left knee in. You may not even want to squeeze that left knee in. If it feels like trash, don't do it. And then if you'd like to, add in a little knee squeeze. And then you can set that foot down, open the knee out to the side. And so you're going to feel your hips lift up a little bit and kind of churn in that spine. So my right thigh is internally rotating.
And it's basically the same as it was on the first side for me, except my toes are turned back for this one. So if you need to turn your toes out to the side, just do it. This isn't supposed to be a massive quad stretch, and it's also not supposed to result in awful cramps. So yeah, you just keep in mind with the weather and crazy days that we're in right now, your body's going to react weird. It's so crampy, especially in this position. Cramps in the feet are common. So your foot is pretty close. You might even be able to massage your foot out here and give it a little fascial release. And use your breath, breathing into the bolster. And close your eyelids down or keep your eyes open. Take your left foot back to the floor, and you can take that right leg out from behind and then come up to seated. And you can straighten out both legs. Just for a moment here, if you want to just sit in staff pose, nice little grounding position. Otherwise, you can stretch over your legs, Paschimottanasana, just for an easy forward fold. Okay, next position, next posture. We're going to take pigeon, the sleeping pigeon version. So I'm going to use a bolster at the front of my mat. So I'm just going to swap that out for the top, move it up top. Okay, so it's up here, and I'm going to take my right knee in pigeon first, and it's going to come behind the bolster on the floor. And then my left leg's going to go around behind. I'm going to lay out over the bolster. So a modification here, if you don't want to take this sweep leg back version and then fold, right? You could take your knee up right to your right foot. So the knee can be bent, and you could even have a blanket underneath so that it just kind of staggers a little bit more evenly, right? And then you could forward fold out over the bolster, okay? This is just whatever's happening in your hips, whatever's happening in your body. And so a good example of what just happened to me, in that reclining hero, I typically can take that just fine, but something today, I don't know, maybe the way I slept, the time of day, it's a different time in the morning for me to practice. So my leg was really crampy, and just honor that. So if something doesn't feel good, change it and reposition it and prop it up so that it's better, right? You're just going to meet your body where it is today, right now. So I am going to sweep my left leg around. You could also use the blanket. So if you feel like this is imbalance, like it's creating an imbalance in your hips, you could always put the blanket back here for the top of your left thigh to rest on. And that'll help maybe lift your hips up a little higher to roll out, to lay out over the bolster evenly. You could also put an extra blanket underneath the right hip. Okay, I'm gonna set this for 3 and relax. You can take your cheek to one side, heel and the hip are in line. So if you wanted your cheek to go to the right side or the left side, okay? And then just allow here the bolster to support your body, your belly.
This is my preferred, like I said, I just love my third, like that forehead, third eye area. I just like it, that front brain. I like some kind of connection there to something, whether it's a prop or my hands. This is just preferable for me. I'm not a fan of the head turning on these poses. I think it just puts a crick in my neck. I don't see it as really helping the posture or making the posture any better, maybe just worse. So I do prefer to have my head in line with my ears with shoulders, chin with chest. I think this also gives me a better opportunity to breathe more evenly into both sides of my lungs. All right, start to place your hands down on the floor and then roll yourself up. And lift your right knee out. And come into hands and knees position here. If you need a little cat-cow. Maybe even a waggle side to side if that feels good. Okay, we'll set up for the second side. All right, so I'm going to move this over, switch sides. I'm going to keep the bolster right in the middle of the mat. I'm going to put this over here for the top of my right thigh to rest on, just to give it a little bit more of a, so the hips don't fall so much. And then if you needed that extra blanket under your left hip, just kind of switch it over to the other side. So it's there, ready to go. Left knee is going to come up to the end of this bolster, and my left foot, so that blanket is way too far forward, pull it back. So my left foot's going to come down here in front of my right hip. Here we go. And then you can always move your bolster over to the right a little bit if you need. So the left knee is on the outside of the bolster. My heel and my right hip are in line. And then again, that extra little blanket under the hip. Left hip. This time we're going. Get yourself situated. And then get into your position, or wherever you want your forehead to rest, or your cheek. And then your ribs, so your both sides of ribs are even on the bolster, so you don't feel like you're rolling off to one side or the other. When you breathe, you can expand both sides of your ribs evenly into the bolster. And let your shoulders relax. Try to let the bolster support a little bit more weight. And when you do that, if you notice that your hips then fall, pat it up a little bit more if you need to squish that blanket up there a little bit more. And then take your hands down to the floor, roll yourself upright. So you can pull that left leg out now. And then again, come into tabletop pose if that feels like a nice little counter stretch. Bolster out of the way. Move around your hips. Wiggle them around if you need. A little twisting, a little rolling the spine around. Cat cow. And in the next posture, we're going to come onto the back for a supine version of cow face, so Supta Gomukhasana. And really not going to use any props for that, but if you want a blanket for the backs of your hips, if you just want some extra comfort, a little padding is fine. We're not going to do much, but it's nice to have. Okay, and then lying back, relaxing on your back, the right leg over your left leg. So crossing the thigh bones. Get my timer handy. Hand a timer. Okay. Right leg over the left. Cross the thigh bones. And I'm going to lift my feet. And my legs are together, but I want them to come apart. So with my knees crossed, with my thighs crossed, it'd be like Garudasan with my ankles together. Cow face with the feet away. So push them away, and maybe you can reach under the soles of your feet and grab the pinky side of your foot with your fingers. Okay, set this and go. And then while you're here, things to play with, letting your shoulders come back down to the floor, letting your hips rest down on the blanket. Or, actually the blanket might help here for some elevation, just for some support. So if you do feel like this is way too painful and you need your hips elevated, blanket under your back, under your hips is nice. Just so you have something to ground down. Shoulders on the floor, open your chest and breathe. Not about how far apart can you get your feet, not about how close to your face can you get your feet. Just feel this stretch here, because it's going to last for a minute or two more, a minute or two more. You can press out into your hands with your feet to help activate your legs, so it's not your arms doing all the work, and that helps to relax your upper shoulders or your upper arms. Breathe into your back, into the floor. Just a little over a minute here. So you can soften your middle back with your breath. It's like the never-ending freaking 3 minutes. 10 seconds. Get into those hips and it gets tough, right? Okay, let go of that. Take your left foot down. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Pause here for a moment. And then I want to transition this right into a supine fire log. So Supta Agni Stambhasana might be really, really intense. So you might have to lift your back up onto something. So I'm going to just heel toe my left foot until my right leg comes down. So I am going to have this bolster here and put it behind. Actually, I'm going to prop it up with a block. And remember, our right leg was on top. There you go. So the left leg under, the right leg on top. So you can stay with the number 4 here and have your knee right there. Okay, you can also start to take the right knee down towards your left knee. I don't want to be here for a really long amount of time, so I'm not really gonna mess with the timer. I'm just gonna be here for about 10, 15 breaths. You could put a block under your right knee if it's getting tired from holding it up. All right, I'm gonna come out of this, right foot down to the floor. Ooh, careful when you lift that left leg out. Let's pause here for a moment. And then I'm gonna move on to the second side, Gomukhasana. So I'll take the bolster off to the side, keep it handy, because I'll bring it back in with the second side reclining fire log. I'm going to come back onto the hip supported blanket, or the blanket support for the hips. This time left leg over the right leg. And again, when you lift your knees up, your feet are probably going to be closer together. Take your feet out away from each other. And then you might have to lift your hips just to get there. Fantastic, the cramps are back. Left hand to the right foot, and then your right hand to your left foot. Okay, I'm going to set this timer while I fight my cramps. You guys go ahead. Gomukhasana, cow face. Oh, for the love. So I had to grab on top of my ankles, apparently, because now my right leg is crampy. It's having a cramp party. And then after a few moments, nope, not going to work. Push back into your hands with your feet again so that it's not all your upper arms working. Smooth your shoulder blades back on the floor. Breathe into that middle back again so that your upper back isn't pulling up and fighting the pose. To really fill up your lungs. Breathe straight into the middle rib area of your back. Less than a minute. It's the good news. All right, take your feet down to the floor. Left foot or right foot down first, left ankle just right over that right thigh, and just let it rest there for a moment. Let your back relax and simmer down. All right, so I know I'm going to bring in the bolster for this next one, the second side of supine fire log. So I'm going to take the block up, prop my bolster up. There's my incline. And then I'm going to take again, so it's the left ankle over the right thigh. And so to move into the fire log pose, my right foot walks over to the left and the right knee falls down. You might just keep your left leg in that number 4 position, or you might start to take your knee over to the side. And then again, if you want the block, and we're not going to be here for too long, I'm not going to set the timer. Might need something under that right knee for me. There we go, much better. Okay, there we go. So I'm fighting these cramps in my muscles, muscular cramps. Make sure there's not any achy, sharp, achy pain in your right hip. My foot was up too high, so I had to move my right foot down. I could tell something was pinching in there. It wasn't good. So if there's any pain, you got to get out of this or adjust it. And I'm feeling this mostly in my bottom leg, my right leg. Everybody's different, but that's where I'm feeling it. All right, I'm going to come out of this. Left foot, right foot on the floor. And then again, just a moment here. Let your thighs neutralize, come back to normal. We're going to take this to standing then in the next few moments. And the yang practice, yang, whatever you want to say, it's just going to be sun salutations. So I'm going to start with sun salutation A, and then I'll do a little C and then B. So we'll do all 3 sun salutations for the active portion of this practice. All right, so when you're ready, the first thing we'll do when we get back to our feet is Malasana, garland pose. We're not going to use props for this unless you need the blanket for your knees in low lunge when we move into sun C, so get the blanket ready or have it handy if you know you're going to use that. Just going to tidy up my area. Okay. And then the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, Malasana, garland pose. I'm going to come into squatting position with the feet together, heels towards the floor. Forward fold down. You can wrap around with your arms, grab your heels or up behind your back. And then hands to the floor. Take your knees back in together. You can keep your heels lifted and then start to lift your hips. And then roll your heels down to the floor. Inhale, and then exhale, fold without letting your hips move back. Uttanasana. And keep the weight in the balls of your feet here. Thighs are strong, belly is strong, your palms are flat on blocks or floor, elbows gently bent so that the shoulders aren't collapsing down, aren't falling down. Chest is moving through your shoulders. And again, the weight is in the fronts of your feet, not the backs of your feet, okay? And then on your inhale, you're going to come up. Feel the weight move more evenly between the fronts and the backs of your feet. So balls and heels. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Samastitihi. Exhale, standing pose. Just take a moment here in Tadasana if you need just to reacclimate to being up off the floor, up off your back. And the first sun salutation we'll take is sun salutation A, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Remember the weight goes in the fronts of your feet. And step back into plank pose, 1 foot at a time. Inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lift your sit bones. Press your hands away into the mat. Heels just kind of energetically pull down towards the floor without dropping your sit bones. So keep your low back long. All right, step or hop up. Forward fold, exhale. Inhale all the way up. Samastitihi, exhale, standing pose. Again, inhale. Arms are up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Weights in the balls of your feet. Heels are still on the floor if you need. If you can lift your heels to play with that modification if you remember from that last tutorial I did from the forward folds. Inhale, half lift. You can exhale, shoot back, or you can step back. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lift those sit bones. Separate the spine, separate the vertebra. Soften your shoulders a little bit here so that the shoulder girdle can broaden. And step or hop up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Samastitihi. Exhale. We'll do one more of those. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Step or float back, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Broaden your collarbones. Flatten the palms. No cupping of the palms. They're pancaked on the floor. And step or hop up. Forward fold. Inhale all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastitihi. Surya Namaskar C, move on to next. Inhale, reach your arms. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And step your left leg back, lower your left knee down. Right knee bends over your ankle. Inhale, Anjaneyasana, sweep your arms up. Exhale, take your hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. Plank pose, inhale, knees down. Exhale, chest and chin tap. It's Ashtangasana, 8. Bow, 8-point bow. Inhale, cobra, Bhujangasana, hips are down, thighs are up. Exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps, inhale. Lower your right knee down, reach your arms up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step forward with your right foot, Uttanasana. Inhale, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Samastitihi. Exhale. Side 2, inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Right leg back, inhale, right knee down, sweep up. Low lunge. Exhale, place your palms down on the floor. Step back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, knees down. Chest and chin, Ashtangasana. Inhale to your hips. Thighs lift your kneecaps. Open your chest, Bhujangasana, cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Inhale and exhale. Right foot steps. Left knee down. Inhale, reach up. Low lunge. Exhale, hands down. Step forward with your left foot. Uttanasana, forward fold. Push into the corners of your feet, 4 corners. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastitihi. Let's do that again. Inhale. Fold. Exhale, Uttanasana. Left leg back, left knee down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward. Knees down, chest and chin down. Exhale. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Left leg forward, right knee down. Inhale. Low lunge. Exhale, hands down. Step forward, Uttanasana. Push the floor away with all 4 corners of your feet. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Samastitihi. Side 2. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Right leg back, right knee down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. Plank pose, inhale. Knees down, chest and chin down. Inhale, hips down, knees up. Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right foot steps, left knee down. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, hands down, step forward, Uttanasana. Urdhva Hastasana, inhale. Exhale, Samastitihi. One more. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Left knee back and down. Low lunge, inhale. Exhale, hands down. Downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Knees, chest, chin. Bhujangasana, hips down, knees up, shoulders back, chest forward. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Left foot steps, right knee down, low lunge, inhale. Exhale, hands down, right foot up, forward fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastitihi. Finish this round up. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Right foot back, right knee down. Low lunge. Exhale. Step back. Down dog. Plank inhale. 8-point bow. Exhale. Bhujangasana. Inhale. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Exhale. Right foot steps, left knee down. Inhale. Hands down, step left foot forward. Exhale. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale. Samastitihi. All right, last sun salutation, then we'll do B. So feet come together as close as you can get them. Utkatasana, fierce pose. Inhale. Fold, exhale. Float back or step back, chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, left heel down, right foot forward, warrior one. Inhale. Hands down, step back plank pose, chaturanga. Up dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Right heel down, left foot steps, warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, plank pose, chaturanga. Up dog, inhale. Downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Step or hop forward. Exhale, fold. Uttanasana, inhale, or Utkatasana, fierce pose. Inhale. Press to straight leg stand. Samastitihi. Exhale. All right. Another one here. Inhale, bend your knees. Utkatasana. Fold. Exhale, Uttanasana. Chaturanga, either step or float. Inhale to half lift, prepare. Exhale, shoot back. Inhale right into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Left heel down, right foot steps. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands to the floor. Plank pose, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, right heel down, left foot steps. Warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, hands down, plank pose, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Step or hop up. Forward fold, exhale, Uttanasana. On your inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana, fierce pose. Press to stand, Samastitihi. Exhale. All right, Unamas. One more. Inhale, fierce pose. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Left heel turns in and down, right foot forward. Warrior one, inhale. Exhale, hands down. Plank pose, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right heel turns down, grounds, left foot forward. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands down, plank, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Five breaths here. Okay, step or hop forward. Exhale, Uttanasana. Bend your knees. Utkatasana, fierce pose. And press to stand. How's that for some yang? All right, let's get back to the frickin' yin. Okay, I'm gonna use the bolster for Supta Virasana and hope my frickin' legs are better now. Maybe an inclined bolster, so block. You might wanna 2 blocks under the end of the bolster, and maybe even then something here to sit on for Virasana. So now, before we did that half Virasana, half bound angle, I'm going to take both hips down between the feet. You could have the blanket under the ankles if you need, or between the thighs even. So that might be something to think about. A little blanket roll behind the calves here, and then sitting down and going back. I think that's what like made it worse for me, so I'm just going to leave that out. As soon as I did that blanket, I hated my life in Hero. Okay, 3 minutes. When you're ready. When I'm ready. Here we go. Sit back, relax. Catch your breath. Again, having something under your hips might help take this out of your thighs and the knees. So lifting your hips up, I think, is a really good idea. I'm actually gonna really adjust this a little bit more for myself because I'm not loving this. I'm gonna sit on the edge of the bolster. Block, blockity block, block. Let's see how that works. Maybe that would work. Foot on my head. Oh yeah, that's nice. All right, so have some fun with this. If you need to resituate, maybe reset a timer of your own. So this isn't really a restorative posture. Press your knees down into the floor. Press your front hips up to the ceiling and feel that nice stretch along the thighs. Your low back should be naturally curved, so you're not fighting it, and it's not trying to help the thigh opener. So the back is just neutral. So it's not trying to overarch to put your hips down. So really pull your belly button in and press your sit bones up to the ceiling. Okay, start to push down into the floor with your hands. And press yourself up slowly. Maybe just sit here for a moment. All right, and then one more. Let's take a reclining twist. I'll use a block for that one. Set the rest of the stuff out of the way. I'm gonna have a block here. So I'm gonna take, in a reclining position, the number 4 shape with your legs. And I'm gonna start with my left leg crossed so you can see what's gonna happen from my side, from your side. And I'm gonna have a block right down here on the inside of my right ankle so that when I pull my right knee down to the floor with my left foot, there's a block there. And I'm gonna actually turn that up a little higher. There we go. And then this left knee comes down to the floor. So my inner right knee is on a block about the height of my hip. And then my left knee is pulling down to the floor. My left ankle is pushing into my right thigh. And go. And open up your arms. And feel your head in line with your tailbone. Your right foot, the inner right foot's on the floor. Right knee's resting on that block. Again, your left knee is pulling down to the floor. Focus on your breath here, your belly, pumping the breath in and out. Noticing that it's slowing down. Maybe it's a little longer. Maybe a few sighs out of your mouth if that feels good. Soften your shoulders on the floor. And then we're only going to do 2 minutes on this. So then we're going to lift up here and situate the second side. Block over then to the inside of your left foot so your right ankle can cross over your left foot, right ankle over your left thigh, and then you're going to take your left knee down to the block and then open your arms out to the side. Again, your right knee is pulling down to the floor, your right ankle is pulling your left knee down. You're on the inside of your left foot. And again, only here for 2 minutes. And again, feel your head line up with your tailbone, shoulders are relaxed on the floor. And your arms are just about the same height, so that your shoulders can equally relax and you can hopefully breathe up into both sides of your lungs more equally, evenly, and real smooth like. Now you start to lift your knees up here, take your left foot back to the floor, and then come out of that. And then we'll set up for a resting posture here. And if you want to use your bolster or your blocks, bring those back in. Maybe the bolster or the blocks under the back of your thighs, or if you want to lie back over the bolster for a little heart opener. Let your low back relax, let your arms relax. And then just pause here for a few moments. And like always, I'm going to let you finish it up. If you've got extra time to spare, stay here for longer. And just feel your body. Feel the effects of your practice here. Really check in. As always, at the end of your practice, make sure that you give yourself a nod of gratitude. And I thank you for practicing with me today.